I became invisible on a Tuesday. Not literally. I still showed up in mirrors, still cast a shadow, but Emma stopped seeing me somewhere around month 14 of our marriage. And by month 19, I'd learned to move through our apartment like furniture, necessary, ignored, occasionally bumped into with a muttered apology that meant nothing. The thing about being erased slowly is you don't notice it happening. It's not one big moment, it's 1,000 small deletions. The way she stopped asking about my day, the way her eyes slid past me when I entered a room, the way she'd laugh at her phone and I'd ask what was funny and she'd say nothing. In that tone that meant nothing you'd understand. I managed a logistics company. Boring work, she'd say. Moving boxes from point A to point B. She worked in marketing for a tech startup, which apparently made her fascinating at dinner parties. She'd hold court about brand strategy and social media analytics while I stood nearby with a beer, watching her friends' eyes glaze over with polite interest. They never asked what I did. I was the guy who drove Emma places, the guy who carried her extra coat, the guy who stood in the background of group photos half cropped out. That particular Tuesday started normal. I woke up at 6, made coffee, checked the shipping schedules for 3 warehouses. Emma was still asleep, her dark hair spread across the pillow, one arm thrown over her face. She looked peaceful. Beautiful, even. I remembered when that mattered to me. By the time I finished my shower, she was gone. No note. Her coffee cup sat in the sink, lipstick print on the rim. I washed it out of habit, then headed to the office. Work was work. I solved problems, a delayed shipment in Newark, a forklift breakdown in Jersey City, a client who wanted impossible turnaround times. I was good at logistics because I understood systems. You map the variables, identify the bottlenecks, optimize the flow. Everything has a pattern if you look long enough. People too. I got home around 7. Emma's shoes were by the door, the expensive ones she'd bought last month. I could hear her voice from the bedroom, bright and animated, laughing. I stood in the hallway and listened to her talk to whoever was on the phone, and I realized I couldn't remember the last time she'd used that voice with me. No, he won't care, she was saying. He never cares. I could tell him I'm going to the moon, and he'd just nod and go back to his spreadsheets. More laughter. I walked into the kitchen, opened the fridge, stared at the contents without seeing them. The apartment felt smaller lately, or maybe I was taking up less space. Hard to tell. Emma emerged 20 minutes later, already dressed to go out. Black jeans, that green top I used to like, the leather jacket that cost half my paycheck. I'm meeting Jenna and Riley for drinks, she said, not quite looking at me. Okay, I said. Don't wait up. Okay. She paused at the door, her hand on the knob. For a second I thought she might say something else, something real. But she just left, and the apartment settled into that particular silence that felt louder than noise. I ate leftover Chinese food standing at the counter. Watched some documentary about Antarctic researchers. Went to bed at 11. She came home at 2:13. I heard her stumble in. Heard her curse softly when she banged her knee on the coffee table. I lay still in the dark and listened to her brush her teeth, strip down, climb into bed on her side. We were 18 inches apart, and it felt like different continents. Thursday was worse. We had dinner with her parents, her father, Gregory, who owned a consulting firm and never let anyone forget it. Her mother, Diane, who asked pointed questions about our plans for children while examining our apartment, like she was cataloging its inadequacies. Still in that little place, Diane said, sipping wine. I thought you'd have upgraded by now. We're comfortable, Emma said. Comfortable. Diane repeated the word like it tasted bad. Well, I suppose that's something. Gregory interrogated me about the logistics business. How was growth? What were our margins? Had I considered diversification? Each question was a small scalpel cut, precise and bloodless. He knew I was small time. He knew my company would never be impressive. He wanted me to know he knew. Emma said nothing in my defense. She just refilled her wine glass and checked her phone under the table. On the drive home, she stared out the window. Your parents are exhausting, I said. They're fine. Your dad treats me like I'm failing a job interview. You're sensitive. I'm observant. She turned to look at me then, and her expression was tired. Not angry, just tired. Do we have to do this right now? She asked. Do what? This? The thing where you complain and I have to manage your feelings. I kept my eyes on the road. I'm not asking you to manage anything. Good, she said, because I'm exhausted. We didn't speak for the rest of the drive. Saturday afternoon, her friends came over, Jenna and Riley, both from her yoga studio. They arrived with wine and stories about their lives, Jenna's promotion, Riley's new boyfriend, some drama involving their instructor that required 45 minutes of detailed analysis. I made myself useful, brought out cheese and crackers, refilled glasses, became the waiter in my own home. "You're so lucky," Jenna said to Emma at one point, "having someone who just lets you do your thing." Emma smiled. "Yeah, he's very accommodating." The word hung in the air like a diagnosis. I retreated to the bedroom, closed the door, lay on the bed staring at the ceiling. I could hear their voices through the wall, rising and falling. Laughter, the clink of glasses, the sound of Emma being happy with everyone except me. My phone buzzed. Work email. A client wanted to move up their delivery date. I responded, negotiated, solved the problem. At least at work, I was competent. At work, I mattered. When her friends finally left around 9, Emma came into the bedroom. She looked flushed, relaxed. The wine had softened her edges. "They really like you," she said. I barely spoke. "Exactly. You didn't try too hard. That's good." She started getting ready for bed, pulling off her sweater. I watched her move around the room, and I thought about asking her something real, something that mattered, but I couldn't find the words, and even if I could, I didn't think she'd hear them. "I'm going to Phoenix next week," she said suddenly. "Conference, 3 days. When?" "Tuesday through Thursday." "Okay." She paused, her hand on the bathroom door. "You could sound more interested." "I am interested." "You have a funny way of showing it." She disappeared into the bathroom. I heard the shower start. I sat on the edge of the bed and wondered when exactly I'd become the villain in her story. The following Tuesday, I woke up alone. Emma had left early for her flight. No goodbye, just a text sent at 5 a.m. "Heading out. See you Thursday." I went to work, solved problems, came home to the empty apartment. It felt bigger without her in it, emptier. I ordered pizza, ate it cold from the box, fell asleep on the couch watching nothing. Wednesday night, she called me at 10. Background noise, music, voices, laughter. "Just checking in," she said. "How's the conference?" "Boring. Lots of PowerPoints. How are you?" "Fine." "Okay, I should go. We're heading to dinner." "Okay. See you tomorrow." Click. I sat there with the phone in my hand, and I thought about the distance between us. Not just the physical miles, the other distance. The one that grows when you stop fighting for each other, when you stop fighting at all. Thursday evening, she came home. She looked tired, but energized in that way people get from travel, like she'd stepped outside her regular life and found it refreshing. "How was it?" I asked. "Good. Productive. I met some interesting people." "That's good." She dropped her bag by the door. "I'm starving. Want to order something?" We ordered Thai food. Ate it at the kitchen table. She told me about panels she'd attended, people she'd met. I listened and nodded and asked the appropriate questions. It felt like interviewing a stranger. After dinner, she opened her laptop and disappeared into work. I cleaned up, then sat on the couch, scrolling through my phone. Around midnight, she finally closed the laptop and stretched. "I'm exhausted," she said. "You should sleep." "Yeah." She headed to the bedroom. I stayed on the couch for another hour, not really doing anything, just sitting, thinking about nothing and everything. The invisibility was complete now. I could feel it settling over me like a second skin. I was the background, the support system, the person who existed to make her life easier while she lived it somewhere else, with someone else, as someone else. And the strange thing was, I'd let it happen. I'd accommodated myself right out of existence. But I was still there, still present, still watching, still learning the patterns. The thing about being invisible is people forget you can still see and hear everything. Emma's birthday was on a Saturday. She'd invited 8 of her friends to this new wine bar downtown. Exposed brick, Edison bulbs, small plates that cost $18 and left you hungry. I was invited too, technically. I was her husband. I came with the territory. I showed up at 7 wearing the shirt she'd bought me last Christmas, navy blue. "It makes you look less tired," she'd said when she gave it to me, which I'd chosen to interpret as a compliment. The group was already there when I arrived. Jenna and Riley, of course, plus Melissa from her yoga class, Tyler and Vanessa from the startup, and 2 women I'd never met, Kara and Beth, friends from college, apparently. They'd arranged themselves around a long table, glasses already half empty, the conversation already flowing. Emma barely looked up when I sat down. "Hey," she said. We ordered the charcuterie board. "Happy birthday," I said. "Thanks." That was it. She turned back to Kara and picked up whatever story I'd interrupted. Something about their sophomore year. I flagged down the waiter and ordered a beer. The conversation moved around me like water around a rock. They talked about influencers I'd never heard of, shows I hadn't watched, drama from the yoga studio involving someone named Bethany who'd apparently slept with someone else's ex. I sipped my beer and tried to look engaged. "So what do you do?" Beth asked me at one point, probably out of pity. "Logistics," I said. "Supply chain management." "Oh." Her eyes glazed over immediately. "That sounds important?" "It pays the bills," I said. She smiled politely and turned to Melissa. "Tell me more about this retreat in Costa Rica." 30 minutes in, they ordered more wine. An hour in, Emma was flushed and laughing, her hand on Tyler's arm as he told some story about a disastrous client pitch. I watched her lean in, watched her eyes light up, watched her be the version of herself I hadn't seen in months. I ordered another beer. Around 9, Jenna decided they needed to play this game where everyone said what they'd do if they won the lottery. Tyler said he'd buy a yacht. Vanessa said she'd quit and travel for a year. Riley said she'd open a bakery. Emma said she'd finally take that photography course in Italy she'd always wanted. "What about you?" Melissa asked me. I thought about it. "I'd probably invest most of it, set up something stable." Emma snorted. "Of course you would." The table laughed. Not mean laughter, exactly. Just dismissive, like I'd confirmed something they all already knew about me. "What?" I said. "Nothing," Emma said. "You're just very practical. It's very you." More laughter. I forced a smile and drank my beer. The game continued. They talked about dream vacations and fantasy careers. I participated less and less. Nobody noticed. Around 10, Emma got up to go to the bathroom. Jenna and Riley followed. The pack movement women do. I sat there with Tyler and Vanessa and the others, and we made awkward small talk about the weather, the bar, nothing. The bathroom was at the back of the restaurant, down a narrow hallway. I could see the door from where I sat. I watched Emma and her friends disappear inside, and I thought about leaving. Just standing up, putting cash on the table for my share, walking out, going home. Would she even notice? 10 minutes passed. 15. I needed to use the bathroom myself. I got up and headed down the hallway. The women's room door was closed, but I could hear voices inside, high and bright with wine. I should have kept walking to the men's room, should have minded my own business. But I heard Riley say my name, and I stopped. "I mean, he's nice," Riley was saying. "But God, doesn't she get bored?" "You have no idea," Emma said. "Sometimes I feel like I'm living with a piece of furniture." Laughter. "Then why stay?" Jenna asked. There was a pause, a long one. I stood frozen in the hallway, my heart doing something weird in my chest. "I don't know," Emma said finally. "Convenience? Inertia? The apartment's rent-controlled." More laughter, louder this time. "You should get out more," Riley said. "Remind yourself what fun feels like." "Oh, I do," Emma said. Her voice had that edge to it, that brightness that meant she was about to say something she thought was clever. "Trust me, I've been reminding myself." "Emma," Jenna's voice scandalized and delighted. "What? I'm just saying, there are options." "You are terrible," Riley said, but she was laughing. I stood there in the hallway. The bathroom door was 3 feet away. Inside, my wife was talking about me like I was a problem to be managed, a weight to be carried, something she'd outgrown but couldn't quite discard. The door started to open. I moved quickly, slipping into the men's room before they could see me. I stood at the sink, gripping the edge of the porcelain, staring at my reflection. My face looked the same. Same tired eyes. Same lines around my mouth. Same everything. But something inside had shifted. Something had cracked open. I washed my hands, dried them, walked back out to the table. Emma and her friends had returned. They were doing shots now. Tequila, from the looks of it. Emma's cheeks were bright red. She was glowing. I sat down, picked up my beer. It was warm now. Another hour crawled past. They ordered dessert, some chocolate thing they all shared, passing forks around, laughing at inside jokes I wasn't part of. I sat at the end of the table, watching, recording. Around 11:30, Jenna looked at her phone and announced she had to go. Work in the morning. The table started to break up. People called cars, split the check, hugged goodbye. Emma was unsteady on her feet. I took her elbow and she shook me off. "I'm fine," she said. "Let me help you." I said I'm fine. Vanessa and Melissa called the same car. They offered to drop Emma off. I said I'd take her home. We lived in the opposite direction. But Emma said she wanted to ride with them. She wanted to keep talking. "I'll meet you there," she told me. "Emma." I'll be home soon. Relax. She climbed into the car with Vanessa and Melissa. They drove off. I stood on the sidewalk, watching the taillights disappear. I took the subway home, 40 minutes underground, surrounded by late-night travelers. I thought about what I'd heard in the hallway. Thought about the way Emma had laughed, the way her friends had laughed, furniture, inertia, options. I got home around 1. The apartment was dark and quiet. I turned on one lamp, sat on the couch, waited. She came home at 2:15. I heard her key in the lock, heard her stumble inside. "You're still up," she said. She sounded surprised. "Happy birthday," I said. "Thanks." She dropped her purse on the chair. "That was fun. You should have stayed." "I took the subway." "Oh." She kicked off her shoes. "I'm going to bed. Emma." She paused, one hand on the bedroom door. "What?" I looked at her. Really looked at her. She looked back at me with those eyes that used to see me and now saw through me. "Nothing," I said. "Good night." She disappeared into the bedroom. I sat on the couch for another hour, then another. I watched the city lights through the window and thought about patterns, about systems, about the way things break down when you stop maintaining them. Around 4 a.m., I finally went to bed. Emma was asleep, her breathing deep and even. I lay next to her in the dark and stared at the ceiling. Something had ended tonight. I could feel it. The old version of us, the version where I tried and hoped and accommodated, that was gone now. Used up. What came next, I didn't know yet, but I was done being furniture. I stopped talking first. Not all at once, that would have been noticeable, but I started saying less, asking fewer questions. When Emma told me about her day, I nodded instead of engaging. When she complained about work, I made neutral sounds instead of offering solutions. She didn't notice, or if she did, she didn't care. It was easier than I'd expected, this withdrawal, quieter. I went to work, came home, existed in the apartment like a well-behaved ghost. Emma moved through her life, and I moved through mine, and the space between us grew wider. But I was watching now, really watching. Little things started to add up. The way she'd take her phone into the bathroom, the way she'd angle the screen away when I walked past, the way she'd smile at messages and then delete them immediately. I didn't snoop, didn't need to. You don't need a smoking piece of evidence when you understand behavioral patterns. Tuesday evening, she came home from work in a good mood. She'd been in good moods a lot lately, but they never seemed to include me. "I'm going out Friday," she said, dropping her bag on the counter. "Girls' night. Riley's organizing." "Okay," I said. "We'll probably be out late." "Okay." She looked at me like she was waiting for something. Resistance, maybe. Questions. But I just nodded and went back to the shipping manifest I was reviewing. "You don't care," she said. "You're an adult. You can do what you want." "That's not what I—" She stopped, shook her head. "Never mind." She disappeared into the bedroom. I heard her on the phone a few minutes later, her voice bright and animated, talking to someone who made her laugh. Friday came. She left at 7 wearing a dress I'd never seen before. Black, fitted, expensive looking. She'd done her makeup carefully, straightened her hair. "Don't wait up," she said. "Have fun," I said. She hesitated at the door. "You really don't care, do you?" "Would it matter if I did?" She didn't answer, just left. I sat on the couch for a while, thinking. Then I pulled out my laptop and did what I should have done weeks ago. I logged into our phone account and checked the call logs. I wasn't looking for proof. I was looking for patterns. And there it was. One number called repeatedly. Sometimes brief calls, 2, 3 minutes, sometimes longer, 30 minutes, 40. The timing was consistent. Weekday lunches, late evenings when she claimed to be working. That weekend she'd gone to Phoenix. I didn't recognize the number. I could have reverse looked it up, could have called it, but I didn't need to. Not yet. I just needed to know I was right. Emma came home at 3 a.m. I heard her try to be quiet, heard her curse when she knocked over a glass in the kitchen. I lay in bed, eyes closed, breathing steady. She climbed in beside me, smelling of perfume and wine and something else, something other. Saturday morning, she slept until 11. I was already up, working at the kitchen table. She emerged looking tired, makeup smudged, hair wild. "Morning," she mumbled. "Coffee's ready," I said. She poured a cup and sat across from me. We didn't speak. She scrolled through her phone. I reviewed supplier contracts. 2 people sharing space, nothing more. "I'm going to yoga," she said eventually. "Okay." Then brunch with Melissa. "Okay." She looked at me over the rim of her cup. "You're being weird." "How so?" "You're just quiet, more than usual. I don't have much to say. Since when? I shrugged. Things change. She studied me for a long moment. I could see her trying to figure out if this was a fight, if I was angry, but I kept my face neutral, my voice calm. Whatever, she said finally. She took her coffee and went to get ready. She was gone by noon. I spent the afternoon organizing the spare closet, something I'd been putting off for months. I found old photos buried in a box. Us on our wedding day, us on vacation in Maine, us at her company holiday party 2 years ago. We looked happy in those photos. Or at least I did. Emma's smile was harder to read. Had she been pretending even then? Or had something actually changed? I put the photos back in the box, shoved it to the back of the closet. That evening she came home around 7. She seemed lighter somehow, looser. I think I'm going to take a pottery class, she announced. Melissa recommended this place in Brooklyn, Wednesday nights. Sounds good, I said. You could take a class too. We could do something together. I looked up from my laptop. Like what? I don't know. Cooking? Rock climbing? Something. I'm pretty busy with work. You're always busy with work. Someone has to be. Her face hardened. What's that supposed to mean? Nothing, just stating a fact. You know what? Forget it. I don't even know why I suggested it. She stormed into the bedroom. I heard her on the phone again minutes later, probably complaining to Riley or Jenna about how impossible I was. Let her. Wednesday, she started pottery class. She came home at 10:30 with clay under her fingernails, talking about the instructor and the other students, and how therapeutic it was to work with her hands. Thursday, I had dinner with my buddy Garrett from college. We met at a sports bar in Manhattan, ate wings, watched the game. How's Emma? He asked. Good. Busy. You guys doing okay? Why wouldn't we be? He shrugged. I don't know. You seem off. I'm fine. If you say so. We talked about other things. His job in finance, his girlfriend who wanted to move in together, normal stuff. But when I got home that night and saw Emma's pottery bag by the door, I thought about Garrett's question. Were we okay? No. We definitely weren't. But I wasn't ready to do anything about it yet. Not until I had the full picture. Friday evening, Emma announced she was going out again. Another girls' night. You've been going out a lot, I observed. Is that a problem? Just an observation. Well, I'm allowed to have a life. I didn't say you weren't. She grabbed her purse. I'll be back late. Maybe I'll just stay at Jenna's. Okay. She left. I waited an hour. Then I did something I'm not proud of. I checked the Find My app on my phone. We'd set it up years ago, back when it felt like caring instead of surveillance. Her dot wasn't at Jenna's apartment. It was at a bar in the West Village, a place called the Violet Hour. I sat there staring at the dot on the map. I could have driven over there, could have walked in, seen who she was with, but what would that accomplish? A confrontation? A scene? No. Better to wait. Better to know everything before I did anything. I closed the app, opened my laptop, checked the phone records again. That number showed up in today's log. 3 calls, 1 at lunch, 1 at 5, 1 at 7, right before she left. I copied the number into my notes, saved it, went to bed. She didn't come home that night. Texted me at midnight, staying at Jenna's, too tired to commute. I didn't respond. Saturday morning, she showed up around 10. She looked like she'd slept in her clothes. Makeup smudged. Hair messier than usual. Morning, she said. I was making breakfast. Scrambled eggs, toast. Want some? I ate already. Okay. She stood in the doorway, watching me. You're not going to ask me anything? Like what? Like where I was, what I did. I plated my eggs. You're an adult. You don't owe me an explanation. That's it? That's all you have to say? What do you want me to say, Emma? She opened her mouth, closed it, opened it again. I don't know. Something, anything. You're like a robot lately. Maybe I'm tired of talking. Tired of talking to me, you mean? If that's how you want to interpret it. She stared at me for a long moment. I could see her trying to figure me out, trying to understand what was happening, but I kept my face blank, my voice even. Fine, she said finally. Be like that. She went into the bedroom and closed the door. I ate my eggs, washed the dishes, went for a run. When I got back an hour later, she was gone. Left a note on the counter. Out with Melissa. Back tonight. I crumpled the note. Threw it away. That evening I sat down with my laptop and did some real research. Logged into our credit card account, started looking at charges, restaurants I'd never been to, bars I'd never heard of, a hotel in Brooklyn 3 weeks ago. The same night she'd claimed to be at Riley's. I made a spreadsheet, dates, locations, amounts. I wasn't gathering evidence for anything specific. I was just organizing information, mapping the system, understanding the pattern. My phone buzzed. Emma texting, "Going to be late. Don't wait up." I didn't respond. I kept working on the spreadsheet until midnight. By then I had 2 months of data laid out in neat rows. The picture was clear. My wife was having a life I wasn't part of. And she'd been careless enough to leave a trail. The question was, what was I going to do about it? Sunday afternoon, Emma's mom called. I was in the kitchen when the phone rang. Emma grabbed it, saw the caller ID, grimaced. "Hey, Mom," she said, her voice shifting into that artificially bright tone she used with her parents. I couldn't hear Diane's side of the conversation, but I could track Emma's responses. "Yeah, we're good." "Mm-hmm." "No, not this weekend." "I know, but work's been crazy." "Yes, I'm eating enough." "Mom?" She wandered into the bedroom and closed the door. I heard her voice continue, muffled now, rising and falling. After 20 minutes, she emerged, looking drained. "She wants us to come for dinner next Saturday," she said. "Okay." "You don't have to go if you don't want to." "I'll go." She looked surprised. "Really?" "They're your parents. Of course I'll go." "Fine, but don't—" She stopped herself. "Don't what?" "Nothing. Just try to engage, okay? Talk. Make an effort." I smiled. I always make an effort. She didn't look convinced, but she didn't argue. The week passed in its new rhythm. Emma went to work, went to pottery class, went out with friends. I went to work, came home, existed. We shared the same space, but operated on different frequencies. Wednesday night, while she was at pottery class, I did something I'd been considering for days. I called Garrett. "Hey, man," he said. "What's up?" "Question for you. You still talk to anyone from Emma's college crowd?" "Not really. Why?" "Just curious. She's been mentioning people I don't know." "Like who?" "Beth. Kara. Ring any bells?" "Vaguely. I think they were in her sorority or something." "Why?" "No reason. Just trying to place faces." There was a pause. "Everything okay with you two?" "Fine. Why does everyone keep asking me that?" "Because you sound weird, and you're asking weird questions." "I'm fine, Garrett. Just making conversation." We talked for a few more minutes, then hung up. It wasn't the information I needed, but it confirmed something. Emma's world was expanding. New people, new places, new patterns. And I was getting smaller in the frame. Saturday came. We drove to Westchester in relative silence. Emma wore a blue dress, her hair pulled back. She looked tense. "Just so you know," she said as we pulled into her parents' driveway, "they're probably going to ask about kids again." "I'll handle it." "Handle it how?" "Politely." She didn't look reassured. Dinner was exactly what I expected. Diane had made roast chicken. Gregory poured expensive wine. They asked pointed questions disguised as small talk. "How's the business, Michael?" Gregory asked. "Steady," I said. "We're expanding our client base." "Profit margins?" "Up about 8% from last year." He nodded, unimpressed. "And when do you think you'll be able to upgrade from that apartment?" "We're comfortable where we are." "Comfortable," Diane echoed, sharing a look with Gregory. "Well, I suppose that's one approach." Emma changed the subject to her work. She talked about a campaign they'd launched, engagement metrics, some award they were nominated for. Her parents listened with the kind of interested attention they never gave my business updates. After dinner, Diane cornered Emma in the kitchen, while Gregory and I sat in the living room with our wine. "You know," he said, swirling his glass, "Emma could do better." I looked at him. "Excuse me?" "Professionally, she's talented, smart. She shouldn't be wasting herself at some startup. I have connections, I could make some calls. I think Emma likes where she is. Emma is complacent, like someone else I know." He looked at me over his glass. The message was clear. I smiled. Complacency has its benefits. Stability, predictability. Mediocrity, you mean, if that's how you want to frame it. We sat in silence for a moment. I could hear Emma and Diane in the kitchen, their voices low, probably having a similar conversation about me. On the drive home, Emma was quiet, angry quiet. "Your dad thinks you should quit your job," I said. "He thinks a lot of things. He also thinks I'm mediocre." She didn't respond. "You agree with him," I said. It wasn't a question. "I didn't say that." "You didn't have to." She turned to look at me. What do you want from me, Michael? You want me to defend you to my parents? Tell them you're amazing, that our life is perfect? I want you to be honest. About what? About where we actually are. She turned back to the window. I don't know where we are. Yes, you do. We didn't speak for the rest of the drive. That night I lay awake in bed, listening to Emma breathe beside me. Around midnight, her phone buzzed on the nightstand. Once, twice, 3 times. She didn't wake up. Or if she did, she didn't check it. I waited until I was sure she was asleep. Then I carefully reached over, picked up her phone. The screen was locked, but I could see the preview of the last message. Unknown number. Miss you. Can't wait for Tuesday. I put the phone back exactly where it had been. Lay back down, stared at the ceiling. Tuesday. I pulled out my own phone under the covers, checked my calendar. Tuesday she'd told me she had a late meeting, wouldn't be home until 9. I set a reminder. Monday at work, I told my assistant I'd be taking a personal day on Tuesday. Family thing. She didn't ask questions. Tuesday morning, Emma left for work at her usual time. I left 10 minutes later, drove to a coffee shop near her office, and waited. I wasn't following her. Not really. I just wanted to see. She emerged at 12:30, walked 3 blocks to a restaurant I didn't recognize, waited outside. 5 minutes later, a man approached. Tall, dark hair, nice suit. They hugged. The hug lasted too long. They went inside together. I sat in my car and waited. Watched people walk by, checked my phone, breathed. They came out 90 minutes later. The man had his hand on the small of her back. They were laughing. She looked happy, bright, alive. They kissed on the sidewalk. Not a friendly peck. A real one. I took a photo with my phone. Just one. Then I started my car and drove home. I sat in the apartment for 3 hours, staring at that photo. The man's face was clear. Emma's was turned away, but her body language told the story. Around 4, I did a reverse image search of his face. Got nothing useful. But I had the photo now, and the number from the phone logs. That was enough. Emma came home at 9, just like she'd said. She looked normal. Maybe a little flushed. How was your day? I asked. Long, exhausting. The meeting ran over. That's too bad. Yeah. She dropped her bag. I'm going to take a shower. Okay. She disappeared into the bathroom. I heard the water start. I sat on the couch and thought about the kiss, about the way she'd leaned into him, about the smile on her face. I thought about Diane's words. Complacent. I thought about the birthday party, furniture. I thought about all the small erasures, all the little deletions, all the ways I'd shrunk myself trying to fit into her life. And I thought about how none of it had mattered, because she'd already chosen someone else. The shower turned off. Emma emerged 20 minutes later in pajamas, her hair wet. I'm exhausted, she said, going to bed. Okay, she paused. You coming? In a bit. She shrugged and went into the bedroom. I stayed on the couch until midnight. Then I pulled out my laptop and started a new document. At the top, I wrote timeline. Then I started filling in dates, facts, patterns. I was done being invisible. It was time to become something else. The next morning, I made Emma breakfast. Scrambled eggs the way she liked them, soft with a little cream cheese folded in, toast with butter and jam, fresh coffee. I set it all on the table while she was getting ready for work. She emerged from the bedroom, stopped, stared. What's this? She asked. Breakfast. I can see that. Why? Can't I make my wife breakfast? She sat down slowly, like she suspected a trap. You haven't done this in months. I know, I've been distant. I'm sorry. She picked up her fork, suspicious. What's going on? Nothing. I just realized I've been in my head too much lately. Work stress. I've been taking it out on you. Oh, and I want to do better. She took a bite of eggs, chewed, swallowed. These are good. Thanks. We ate in relative silence. I asked about her day. She told me about a client presentation she was nervous about. I listened, nodded, made encouraging sounds. When she left for work, she actually kissed me goodbye. Just a quick peck, but still. Thanks for breakfast, she said. Anytime. I watched her leave. Then I cleared the dishes and got ready for what came next. At work, I told people I was dealing with some personal stuff and needed to keep my schedule flexible for a while. Everyone was understanding. I'd been reliable for years. They gave me the benefit of the doubt. That afternoon, I drove to the restaurant where I'd seen Emma and her lunch companion. Went inside, sat at the bar, ordered a beer. You been here before? The bartender asked. First time. Friend recommended it. It's a good spot. A lot of regulars. Yeah? What kind of crowd? Office people mostly. Lunch rush is crazy. Dinner's quieter. I sipped my beer. Looked around. Casual. Just a guy having a drink. You ever see a tall guy, dark hair, probably in his 30s, comes in for lunch sometimes? The bartender thought about it. Maybe. We get a lot of suits in here. Right, of course. I finished my beer, left a good tip, and headed out. Over the next week, I became the version of myself Emma wanted. Attentive, present, interested. I asked about pottery class, complimented her new haircut, suggested we go out to dinner, just the two of us. She was suspicious at first, then cautiously optimistic, then openly pleased. I feel like I have my husband back, she said one night. I'm sorry I checked out for a while, I said. I'm here now. She smiled. Actually smiled at me. It was almost convincing, but I kept tracking, kept watching. The phone number showed up in the call logs regularly. Lunches out, late nights at work. She was being more careful now, deleting messages immediately, but the pattern was still there. I just needed a name. Friday night, Emma went out with Jenna and Riley. I told her to have fun. Kissed her goodbye, meant it almost. While she was gone, I did something I'd been planning. I called the phone number from the logs, just once. Let it ring twice, then hung up. An hour later, I tried again. This time, someone answered. Hello? Male voice, irritated. I hung up. That was all I needed. Confirmation it was a man. The voice was youngish, professional, matched the guy from the restaurant. I didn't call again. Saturday, Emma wanted to go furniture shopping. We needed a new couch, she said. Ours was falling apart. We spent the afternoon in stores, testing couches, debating colors. It felt almost normal, like we were a real couple doing real couple things. What about this one? She asked, sitting on a gray sectional. It's nice. Just nice? It's comfortable, good price, fits the space. She laughed. Always so practical. Someone has to be. She looked at me, really looked at me. You're different lately. Better or worse? I'm not sure yet. We bought the couch, had it scheduled for delivery in 2 weeks. On the drive home, she reached over and took my hand. Thanks for today, she said. For what? For being present. I should have been present all along. Yeah, but better late than never, right? I squeezed her hand, smiled. Let her think she was winning. That night we had the best conversation we'd had in months. She told me about work stress, about feeling pressure to perform, about her parents' constant judgment. I listened, sympathized, held her when she cried a little. I've been struggling, she admitted, more than I let on. I'm here, I said. Whatever you need. She fell asleep in my arms. I lay awake, staring at the ceiling, feeling her breathe against my chest. 2 weeks later, the new couch arrived. We spent Sunday rearranging the living room, making it work. Emma was happy. She took photos, posted them on social media, tagged me. New couch with my favorite person, she wrote. I liked the post. Left a heart emoji. Let everyone see us being perfect. That Tuesday, Emma had another late meeting. I told her I'd pick up dinner. Chinese, her favorite. After she left, I drove back to that restaurant. Parked across the street. Waited. At 7:15, the tall man arrived. Alone this time. He went inside. I watched through the window as he sat at the bar. Ordered a drink. I waited 15 more minutes. Then I went in, sat 2 seats away from him. Ordered a beer. We didn't speak at first, just 2 guys at a bar. But I watched him in the mirror behind the bottles. He kept checking his phone. Texting someone. Waiting for someone? The bartender asked him. Not tonight, he said, just unwinding. His voice matched the one from the phone call. I finished my beer, left, got back in my car. I had a face, a voice, a location he frequented. That was enough for now. At home, I set out the Chinese food. Emma came home at 9:30, exhausted. You're the best, she said, seeing the food. I'm starving. We ate together. She told me about her meeting, how it had gone well but run long, how her boss was pleased. I nodded, listened, said all the right things. Across the table, my wife lied to me with a smile, and I let her, because I needed her comfortable, confident, careless. I needed her to think she'd won. 2 weeks passed. I played the role perfectly. Attentive husband, supportive partner, present and engaged. Emma responded exactly how I knew she would. She relaxed, stopped being so careful. The deleted messages became less frequent. The late nights became more common. Thursday afternoon, my assistant buzzed me. "Michael, there's someone here to see you. Says it's personal." "Who?" He didn't give a name, just said it's important. I felt something cold settle in my stomach. "Send him in." The man who walked into my office was the one from the restaurant. Tall, dark hair, expensive suit. Up close, he looked younger than I'd thought. Maybe 32, 33. "Michael," he said. "That's me?" He closed the door behind him, sat down without being invited. "We need to talk," he said. I leaned back in my chair, kept my voice calm. "About what?" "Emma." There it was, out in the open. "I don't know what you think." "Let's not do this," he interrupted. "I know you know, and you need to understand something. This isn't what you think it is." "What is it, then?" He ran a hand through his hair. "It's complicated." "I have time." "Emma and we're in love." I laughed, couldn't help it. "In love? I know how it sounds." "Do you?" "She's unhappy. She has been for a long time, and I make her happy." "How noble of you." His jaw tightened. "I didn't come here to fight with you. I came here to be honest, man to man." "Man to man," I repeated. "Okay, let me be honest too. You're a coward." He stood up. "Excuse me?" "You heard me. You're a coward who goes after married women because you can't handle the risk of a real relationship. You don't know anything about me. I know you sneak around. I know you let her lie to her husband while you play the hero. I know exactly what you are." His face went red. "Emma deserves better than you." "Maybe, but she chose me. She married me. And you? You're just a distraction." "I'm not." "Yes, you are. And when this falls apart, which it will, you'll move on to the next one. But Emma will still be here, with me." He took a step forward. I stood up slowly, keeping the desk between us. "You need to let her go," he said. "Or what?" "Or I'll make this ugly." I smiled. "It's already ugly. You just haven't noticed yet." We stared at each other across my desk. I could see him trying to decide if I was a threat, if I was dangerous. I let him wonder. "Get out of my office," I said quietly. He hesitated, then turned and left without another word. I sat back down. My hands were shaking, not from fear, from something else, something darker. I pulled out my phone, opened the Find My app. Emma's dot was at her office. The man's visit meant they were worried, meant I'd been seen, meant they knew I knew. That changed things. I spent the rest of the afternoon thinking, planning. By the time I left work, I knew what had to happen next. That night Emma came home at her usual time. She seemed normal, happy even. "How was your day?" she asked. "Interesting. Yours?" "Fine. Boring meetings mostly." She went to change clothes. I ordered pizza. We ate in front of the TV, watching some show she liked. Around 9, her phone buzzed. She checked it, frowned, typed a response. "Everything okay?" I asked. "Yeah, just Jenna being dramatic about something." She put the phone down but kept glancing at it. At 10, she said she was going to bed. I stayed up, laptop open, pretending to work. At 11, I heard the bedroom door open. Emma appeared, fully dressed. "I need to run out," she said. "Jenna's having a crisis. I'll be back in an hour." I looked up. "This late?" "She really needs me." "Okay, be safe." She grabbed her keys and left. I waited 5 minutes. Then I put on my jacket and followed. I kept 3 cars back. Watched her drive through the city. She didn't go to Jenna's apartment. She went to a building in the West Village. Expensive looking. Doorman. She went inside. I parked down the block. Waited. 30 minutes passed. Then an hour. I got out of the car. Walked to the building. The doorman was on his phone, not paying attention. I slipped past him into the lobby. There was a directory on the wall. I scanned the names. Floor 4, apartment 4C, D. Fletcher. I took the stairs. Stood in the hallway outside 4C. I could hear voices inside. Laughing. Music. I stood there for a long time, thinking. Then I knocked. The music stopped. Footsteps approached. The door opened. It was him, the man from my office. His face went white when he saw me. "What are you?" I pushed past him into the apartment. Emma was on the couch, wine glass in hand. She saw me and froze. "Michael," she breathed. "Jenna's crisis," I said. "Right." The man, Fletcher, stepped between us. "You need to leave." "I'm not talking to you." "Michael," Emma said. She stood up, unsteady. "This isn't what? Isn't what it looks like? Isn't exactly what I thought it was?" She had no answer. I looked at Fletcher. "You came to my office today. Told me to let her go. Said you'd make it ugly. You were threatening me in my place of business. Bad move. I think you should go, he said, trying to sound firm, but his voice shook. I stepped closer. He stepped back. You wanted this out in the open, I said quietly. So here we are, open. Emma moved forward. Stop. Both of you just stop. I looked at her. How long? Michael. How long, Emma? 4 months, she whispered. 4 months. A third of our marriage. I laughed. It came out wrong, hollow. Okay, I said. Okay. Good to know. I turned to leave. Fletcher relaxed. Then I spun back and drove my fist into his stomach. He doubled over, gasping. Emma screamed. I grabbed the front of his shirt, pulled him close. Do you want ugliness? I asked quietly. I'll show you what ugliness is. I pushed him away. Emma was crying. Get out. Get out right now. I looked at her one last time. The woman I'd married, the woman who'd erased me. Then I walked out. I drove home on autopilot. My hand hurt. My heart was racing. When I got to the apartment, I packed a bag, took my laptop, some clothes, my important documents. I was loading the car when my phone rang. Emma, I didn't answer. She called again. On the 5th call, I picked up. Michael, please. I'm done, I said. Where are you? Doesn't matter. We need to talk about this. No, we don't. You can't just watch me. I hung up. I drove to a hotel in Queens, checked in, sat on the bed in the dark room. My hand was swelling. I'd probably broken something in Fletcher's ribs. Maybe worse. I should have felt bad. I didn't. I felt awake, alive, present. For the first time in months, I felt like myself. And I was just getting started. I spent 3 days in that hotel room. Emma called 67 times. I counted. She texted constantly, apologizing, explaining, begging me to come home so we could talk like adults. I didn't respond. On day 2, Fletcher called. I let it go to voicemail. Look, his message said, I'm sorry about what happened. Emma's a wreck. Whatever you're planning, can we talk? Please? I deleted it. On day 3, Jenna called. That surprised me. Michael, I know you're angry, she said when I answered. But Emma needs you. She's falling apart. Good, I said. That's cold? You think I'm cold? You knew about this, didn't you? Silence. That's what I thought, I said. Tell Emma I'll call her when I'm ready. I hung up. I spent those 3 days doing research. Real research. I pulled Fletcher's information from every public database I could find. Turns out David Fletcher wasn't just some random guy. He was a marketing director at a mid-sized firm in Manhattan. Before that, he'd worked at 3 other companies. Each job lasted about 18 months. I found his LinkedIn, his Facebook, his Instagram. He posted a lot, liked the attention, liked showing off his lifestyle. Expensive restaurants, rooftop bars, weekend trips to the Hamptons. He also posted about work, about his team, about projects. And that's when I found something interesting. One of his recent posts from 2 months ago, a photo of him and his team at a company retreat. Tagged location, Phoenix, Arizona, 3-day conference. I pulled up my calendar, cross-referenced the dates. Emma's Phoenix trip. She'd told me it was a conference. She'd gone alone, or so she said. I logged into the credit card account again, found the hotel charge from Phoenix, the same hotel where Fletcher's company retreat was held. I sat back in my chair and laughed. Actually laughed. They'd been together in Phoenix. She'd used a work conference as cover. She'd looked me in the eye and lied about the entire trip. But there was more. I dug deeper into Fletcher's employment history, found something odd. He'd left his previous job, a bigger firm, better title, for his current position. That was a downgrade. Why would someone do that? I searched for news about his previous employer, found a small Business Journal article from 8 months ago about internal restructuring. Nothing specific. But buried in the comments section of a related LinkedIn post, someone had written, "Glad they finally cleaned house." About time they dealt with the harassment situation. Harassment. I searched more, found nothing concrete. But patterns emerged. Fletcher had left right when that restructuring happened. No announcement. No farewell posts. Just gone. I pulled up his current company's website, found the HR page, made a note of the HR director's name, then I started working on something else. I pulled the photos from Emma's social media, the ones from Phoenix. She'd posted 3, pool shots, sunset from her hotel room, her boring conference. I reverse searched the images, Found another account that had posted similar photos from the same location, same dates. A woman named Rachel Simmons. Her profile said she worked at Fletcher's company. I clicked through her photos. There, in the background of one shot by the hotel pool, was Fletcher. Talking to Emma, I saved everything, screenshots, links, dates, built a timeline. 4 months since the affair started, Emma had said, but Phoenix was 5 months ago. She'd lied about the timeline too. On the morning of day 4, I checked out of the hotel, drove to the apartment. Emma's car wasn't there. I let myself in. The place looked the same. New couch, old life. I packed more of my things, methodically. Clothes, documents, books. I took the photo albums from the closet, the ones with our wedding pictures, our early years together. I left them on the kitchen counter with a note. Keep these. You'll need the memories. Then I drove to a friend's place in New Jersey. Rick, a guy I'd known since high school. He managed a storage facility and had a spare room above his office. Stay as long as you need, he said. What happened? Emma cheated. Christ! I'm sorry, man. Don't be. It's clarifying. He didn't ask more questions. That evening, Emma finally caught me. She must have been watching the apartment. My phone rang, her number. But when I answered, she was at my car window. I was parked outside Rick's place. I rolled down the window. She looked terrible. Red eyes, messy hair. She'd been crying. Michael, please, she said. We need to talk. So talk. Not like this. Can we go somewhere? I'm comfortable here. She gripped the car door. I made a mistake. A huge mistake. I know that. And I'm so sorry. Okay. Okay? That's it? What do you want me to say, Emma? I want you to forgive me. I want you to come home. I want us to work through this. I looked at her, really looked at her, the woman I'd loved, the woman I'd shrunk myself for. You went to Phoenix with him, I said. Her face went pale. How did you? Doesn't matter. You lied about that too. Michael? How many other trips? How many other lies? It's not like that. Then what's it like? Explain it to me. She opened her mouth, closed it. Tears ran down her face. I was lonely, she finally said. You were distant. You didn't see me anymore. I was distant. I was furniture, remember? I was the guy you were stuck with. I didn't mean that. Yes, you did. And you told your friend that in front of me because you wanted me to hear it. You wanted me to leave so you wouldn't have to be the bad guy. That's not true. Isn't it? You've been trying to make me disappear for months, and when I finally did, when I actually left, you panicked, because now you're the one who looks bad. I love you, she said desperately. I know I've been awful. I know I hurt you, but I do love you. No, Emma. You love the idea of not being alone. You love having a backup plan, but you don't love me. Please, don't do this. I started the car. Go home. Talk to Fletcher. Figure out your next move, but leave me out of it. Michael. I drove away. In the rearview mirror, I watched her standing there in the street, getting smaller. I felt nothing. That night, I sat in Rick's spare room and made phone calls. First, I called a lawyer, someone Garrett had recommended, explained the situation, set up a meeting for the next day. Then I called my bank, set up a new account, started transferring my money. Then I did something I'd been considering since Phoenix. I drafted an email to the HR director at Fletcher's company. Formal, professional, anonymous. Dear Ms. Patterson, I'm writing to bring to your attention a potential pattern of concerning behavior by one of your employees, David Fletcher. I recently became aware that Mr. Fletcher may be involved in a relationship with a married woman, and that this relationship began during a company retreat in Phoenix 5 months ago. While personal relationships are private matters, I understand that Mr. Fletcher has a history of leaving previous positions under circumstances related to inappropriate workplace conduct. Given that he frequently represents your company at professional events and conferences, I thought this information might be relevant to your HR protocols. I'm not seeking any specific action, merely ensuring that your organization is aware of potential liability issues. A concerned party, I didn't send it. Not yet. But I saved it in drafts. That was my insurance. The next morning, I met with the lawyer. Her name was Patricia Crane. Late 50s, sharp eyes, no-nonsense demeanor. You want a divorce? She said. It wasn't a question. Eventually. First, I want to understand my options. What kind of options? Financial, legal, practical? She leaned back in her chair. You said she cheated. Do you have proof? Photos, call logs, credit card statements, witness testimony if needed? Good. That helps. New York is a no-fault state, but evidence of infidelity can affect asset division and support decisions. I don't want her money. I want her to understand what she destroyed. Patricia raised an eyebrow. That's emotional, not legal. Can I do both? Depends how smart you are about it. We talked for 90 minutes. She explained my rights, my options, the likely timeline. By the end, I had a plan. Step 1, separate finances completely. Step 2, document everything. Step 3, wait. Wait for what? I asked. For her to make the next mistake, Patricia said. They always do. I left her office feeling lighter, clearer. Emma texted me that afternoon. Can we please talk? I'll do anything. I responded, I've contacted a lawyer. You should do the same. She called immediately. I didn't answer. She called again and again. Finally, she texted, You're really doing this? Me. You did this. I'm just responding. Her. I made a mistake. People make mistakes. Me. Mistakes are accidents. You made choices. Repeatedly. For months. Her. I'll end it with him. I'll do whatever you want. Me. I don't want anything from you anymore. She didn't respond after that. 2 days later, Garrett called. Dude, Emma showed up at my apartment, he said. What? She was crying, begging me to talk to you. Said you won't answer her calls. What did you tell her? That you're a grown man who can make his own decisions. But seriously, what's happening? She said you left her. She cheated on me, for months, with a guy from her work. Jesus, I'm sorry. Don't be. I'm better off. You sound different. I am different. We talked for a while longer. He offered support. Offered to help however he could. After we hung up, I thought about Emma going to Garrett. Desperate. Trying to use our friends to get to me. That meant she was scared. Good. That weekend, I went back to the apartment while Emma was out. I knew her schedule. Pottery class Saturday morning, brunch with Melissa after. I packed the rest of my things, took only what was mine. Left everything else exactly as it was. On the kitchen counter, I left the signed separation agreement Patricia had drafted. Clean, simple, fair division of assets. No alimony requested either way. And a note. Sign this. Make it easy, or I'll make it hard. I was loading the last box into my car when I saw Fletcher's car pull up across the street. He got out, saw me, hesitated. Then he walked over. We need to talk, he said. No, we don't. You broke my ribs. You're lucky that's all I broke. His jaw tightened. I could press charges. Go ahead. Explain to the cops why you were alone with my wife at 11 p.m. in your apartment. He shifted his weight. Emma's a mess because of you. Emma's a mess because of Emma. She loves you, you know. She's terrified she's losing you. I slammed the trunk closed, turned to face him fully. Let me explain something to you, Fletcher. You think you won? You think you got the girl? But you didn't win anything. You got a woman who lies, who cheats, who'll do to you exactly what she did to me. That's not... She went to Phoenix with you 5 months ago. Lied to me about it. Lied to you about when we started having problems. She's been playing both of us. He blinked. What? Phoenix, the company retreat. Ring any bells? His face changed. She said that was before you two were having issues. We weren't having issues. We were fine. She invented problems to justify what she wanted to do anyway. I could see him processing this, recalculating. She told me you were emotionally distant, he said slowly. That you checked out of the marriage. I'm sure she did, and maybe by the time you came into the picture, I had. But that wasn't the beginning. That was the response. He looked away. I didn't know. Yes, you did. You just didn't care. I got in my car. Wait, he said. I rolled down the window. What are you going to do? He asked. I smiled. I'm going to let you have her. Enjoy. I drove away. In my rearview mirror, I saw him standing there looking lost. The thing about revenge is knowing when to step back and let consequences do the work for you. I'd planted the seed. Now I just had to wait for it to grow. Emma signed the separation agreement. She didn't want to. She called me crying, begging for one more conversation, one more chance. I told her the same thing every time. Sign it, or I'll make this public and messy. She signed. The agreement was temporary, a legal separation, not a divorce. It gave us space, divided our accounts, established that we were living apart. Patricia said it was a smart move. Gives you flexibility, and if she violates the terms, it strengthens your position later. The terms were simple. No contact except through lawyers, no joint purchases, no access to each other's finances or living spaces. Emma moved out of our apartment and into Jenna's place temporarily. I moved into a small rental in Queens. Rick helped me move my stuff. You seem good, he said, hauling boxes. Weirdly good. I am good. Most guys would be falling apart right now. I fell apart months ago. This is me putting myself back together. He didn't argue. 2 weeks into the separation, I got a call from an unknown number. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up. Michael? A woman's voice. Uncertain. Who is this? My name is Rachel Simmons. I work with David Fletcher. I sat up straighter. The woman from the Phoenix photos. Okay, I said carefully. I heard about what happened, with your wife and David, and I thought you should know something. I'm listening. David has a pattern. This isn't the first time he's done this. Done what? Gone after someone else's partner. There was a woman at his last job. She was engaged. He pursued her. When her fiancé found out there was a confrontation, David claimed he was the victim, got the guy banned from company events. And? The woman broke off her engagement, dated David for 3 months. Then he dumped her and she quit. I processed this. Why are you telling me? Because he's doing it again, and I think your wife doesn't know what she's getting into. That's her problem now. Maybe. But I thought you'd want to know. For what it's worth, I think he's bad news. And I think he pushed your wife into this more than she might admit. Thank you for calling, I said. There's something else. What? He's been bragging, at work, about her, about how he won. It's gross. My hand tightened on the phone. Bragging how? Showing people her picture, talking about where they go, making jokes about how easy it was. Something cold settled in my chest. I see. I just thought you should know. I'm sorry you're going through this. She hung up. I sat there for a long time, thinking. Then I pulled up that draft email to HR, made some edits, added the new information Rachel had provided. Still didn't send it. Not yet. That Friday night, Garrett invited me out for drinks. Just the two of us, he said. Guys' night. We met at a bar in Brooklyn, ordered beers, watched the game on TV. You look good, he said. Better than I expected. Thanks. Emma's not doing as well. You've talked to her? She keeps calling. I mostly don't answer, but I caved last week. She's a wreck, asking about you, wanting to know if you're seeing anyone. Tell her it's none of her business. I did. We drank in silence for a while. Can I ask you something? Garrett said. Sure. Are you angry, like really angry, or are you just done? I thought about it. Both. I'm angry at what she did, how she did it. But I'm also just finished. I don't want to fix this. I want to move forward. Fair enough. Around 10, my phone buzzed. Unknown number. I ignored it. It buzzed again. Same number. You should get that, Garrett said. Might be important. I stepped outside. Answered. Michael. Fletcher's voice, slurred. He was intoxicated. What do you want? We need to talk. Now. About what? About Emma, about you, about all of this. I'm not interested in... I'm at Murphy's, the bar on Amsterdam. Come here, now. Or I'm going to your apartment and we're doing this there. He hung up. I stood on the sidewalk, debating. Then I went back inside. I need to go, I told Garrett. What's wrong? Fletcher, he's intoxicated and wants to talk. You're not actually going to meet him. Yeah, I am. That's a bad idea. Probably, but I want to hear what he has to say. Garrett shook his head but didn't argue. Text me when you're done. Let me know you're okay. I took the subway to the Upper West Side. Murphy's was a dive bar, dim lights, sticky floor. Fletcher was at the bar, 3 empty glasses in front of him. I sat down next to him. You came, he said. He sounded surprised. I'm here. Talk. He ordered another whiskey. Downed it. She's leaving me. What? Emma. She's ending it. Says she made a mistake. Says she wants you back. I laughed. Couldn't help it. And you're upset about this. I gave up everything for her. You gave up nothing. You pursued a married woman for sport. His face darkened. You don't know anything about us. I know you bragged about her at work, showed her picture around, made jokes about winning. He froze. Who told you that? Doesn't matter. It's true, isn't it? He stared into his empty glass. I thought she was different. She is different. She's worse than you thought. He spun on his bar stool to face me. You know what your problem is? You're boring. She told me. You're safe and stable and completely boring. And yet she wants to come back to boring. Because she's scared. Because you're making her sign papers and talk to lawyers. You're bullying her. I stood up. I'm leaving. He grabbed my arm. Don't walk away from me. I looked down at his hand, then at his face. Let go, I said quietly. He didn't. You think you're better than me. You're not. You're just... I twisted my arm free and shoved him. Hard. He stumbled backward off the bar stool, crashed into a table. Glasses shattered. The bar went quiet. Fletcher scrambled to his feet, face red, fists clenched. You want to do this? He shouted. Let's do this. The bartender yelled something. Other patrons moved back. Fletcher swung at me. I ducked. He screamed, grabbed his hand. You broke it, he gasped. You broke my hand. You broke your own hand. I moved. 2 guys from the bar grabbed Fletcher, pulled him away from me. Both of you out, the bartender ordered. Now. I walked out. Fletcher followed, cradling his hand, still yelling. On the sidewalk, he was still ranting. I'm pressing charges. I'm calling the cops. Go ahead. Tell them you got intoxicated, called me, demanded I meet you, then threw a punch and missed. This isn't over. Yes, it is. I started walking away. She's going to leave you again, he shouted after me. She's going to get bored and find someone new because you're not enough. You'll never be enough. I stopped, turned around. He was standing in the middle of the sidewalk, cradling his hand, tears running down his face. Not from pain, from something else. You're right, I said. I'm not enough, but neither are you. And Emma's going to figure that out eventually, just like she figured it out with me. I left him there, took the subway home, texted Garrett, I'm fine, Fletcher's not. He called immediately. What happened? He threw a punch, missed, probably broke his hand. Jesus Christ. He was already falling apart. I just accelerated the process. You're playing a dangerous game, man. Maybe, but I'm winning. When I got home, I pulled up that HR email again. This time I added Fletcher's behavior tonight. His intoxication, his aggression, his harassment. Then I hit send, not from my account, from a temporary encrypted email I'd set up for exactly this purpose. The message disappeared into the void. Within 3 business days, someone at Fletcher's company would read it, and then Fletcher's problems would multiply. I poured myself a drink, sat on my small balcony, watched the city lights. Emma wanted to come back. Fletcher was falling apart. Everything was moving in the right direction. But I wasn't done yet, not even close. The HR email worked faster than I expected. 5 days after I sent it, Rachel Simmons called me again. They put David on administrative leave, she said. What? Someone sent HR an anonymous email, detailed a bunch of stuff. They launched an investigation. As of yesterday, he's on leave pending the outcome. Do they know who sent it? No, but David's convinced it was you. That's quite an assumption. Was it? I didn't answer. Regardless, she continued, he's spiraling. Came into the office yesterday before they sent him home, made a scene, accused people of conspiring against him. It was bad. Thank you for letting me know. There's more. He filed a police report against you for the bar incident. My stomach tightened. And? The cops looked into it. Talked to the bartender, witnesses. Everyone said David threw the first punch and you defended yourself. They dropped it. But he's not letting it go. What's he doing? I don't know, but be careful. He's not stable right now. After we hung up, I sat very still, thinking. Fletcher on administrative leave meant he had time on his hands. Time to be angry, time to make bad decisions. I needed to stay ahead of him. That night, Emma texted me. First time in 2 weeks. Can we talk? Please? I stared at the message for a long time, then typed, about what? Her. Us. Everything. I know I don't deserve it, but I'm asking anyway. Me. Are you still seeing Fletcher? Her. No, I ended it. Weeks ago. Me. Why? Her. Because it was wrong. Because I want to fix things with you. Me. There's nothing to fix. It's broken. Her. Please don't say that. I know I messed up. I know I hurt you, but I love you. I've always loved you. I didn't respond. She called. I didn't answer. She called again and again. Finally, I picked up. Emma. Thank you for answering. Her voice was thick with tears. Michael, I'm so sorry. For everything. For lying. For cheating. For making you feel invisible. You didn't deserve any of it. No, I didn't. I was selfish. I was cruel. I took you for granted and I destroyed the best thing in my life. Is this a rehearsed speech? What? No. I'm trying to... Because it sounds rehearsed. Like you practiced it with Jenna or Riley. Silence. I mean it, she said quietly. Every word. Okay, I believe you mean it right now, in this moment. But what about tomorrow, next week, when things get hard again? I'll be better, I promise. You promised to love and cherish me in front of everyone we knew. That promise didn't mean much. I know, and I hate myself for it. But please, give me another chance. Why should I? Because, she struggled. Because we built a life together. Because we were good once. Because I know we can be good again. We were never good, Emma. I was just too stupid to see it. That's not true. Isn't it? Think about it. Really think. Were you ever actually happy with me? Or were you just comfortable until something better came along? You're something better. I'm the safe choice. The backup plan. The guy who'll take you back because he's too afraid to be alone. That's not why I want you back. Then why? She was crying hard now. Because I love you. Because I realized what I had when I lost it. Because I can't imagine my life without you. You spent 4 months imagining it just fine. I was an idiot. I was confused and selfish and no, you were clear. You knew exactly what you wanted. And it wasn't me. Michael, I need to go. Wait, please. Can we meet? In person? Just once? I thought about it. Weighed the options. Fine, I said. Tomorrow, 6 p.m., the coffee shop on Grove Street. Thank you. Thank you so much. Don't thank me yet. I hung up. The next evening, I arrived at the coffee shop early. Picked a table in the back, ordered black coffee. Emma showed up exactly at 6. She'd dressed carefully, hair done, makeup light but precise, the version of herself she thought I'd want to see. She sat down across from me. Hi, she said. Hi. We sat in silence for a moment. She ordered tea, wrapped her hands around the cup like she needed the warmth. I don't know where to start, she said. Start with the truth. I told you the truth? I cheated, I lied, I hurt you? No, start with the real truth. Phoenix. Her face paled. What about Phoenix? You went there with him, 5 months ago, before we were having problems. How did you... Doesn't matter, just tell me the truth. She stared into her tea. Yes, we went together. The company retreat overlapped with my conference. We planned it that way. So you lied about the entire trip? Yes. What else did you lie about? Michael... What else, Emma? She was crying again. Everything, all of it. The girls' nights that weren't with girls, the late meetings that weren't meetings, the pottery class I only went to twice. Why? Because it was easier than facing what I was doing, easier than admitting I was destroying everything. Did you ever love me? She looked up. Yes, God, yes, I loved you so much, in the beginning. And then? Then I got bored. And instead of working on it, instead of talking to you, I looked for excitement somewhere else. With Fletcher. Yes, and before Fletcher. She froze. What? Was he the first? Silence stretched between us. Emma, was he the first? No, she whispered. The word caught me off guard like a physical blow. How much? Michael. How many? 2 others, before David. They didn't mean anything. They were just... I stood up. The chair scraped loudly against the floor. Where are you going? She asked. Away from you. Please don't. Let me explain. Explain what? That you've been cheating on me for our entire marriage? That everything was a lie? Not everything. The good parts were real. There were no good parts. There was just you pretending until you got bored. I walked toward the door. She followed. Michael, wait. Please. I spun around. Do you have any idea what you've done? Do you understand what you've destroyed? Yes, I know, and I'm sorry. Sorry doesn't fix this. Sorry doesn't give me back the years I wasted thinking I was the problem. You weren't the problem. I was, I am, and I want to fix it. You can't fix it. It's not fixable. You burned it all down, and now you're upset about the ashes. So what? We're just done? That's it? Yeah, that's it. I don't accept that. I laughed, harsh and loud. People in the coffee shop were staring. You don't accept it? You don't get to decide anymore. You gave up that right when you... I stopped, lowered my voice. When you decided I wasn't worth being faithful to. I'll do anything. Therapy, counseling, whatever you want. I want a divorce. The word hung in the air between us. Emma's face crumpled. You don't mean that. I do. I'm filing next week. No. No, you can't. We can work this out. There's nothing to work out. Sign the papers when they come. Make it easy. And if I don't, then I'll make it hard. I'll tell everyone, your friends, your parents, your work. I'll make sure everyone knows exactly what you did. You wouldn't. Try me. I left her standing there, walked home in the dark. My hands were shaking. Not from anger anymore. From relief. I'd said it out loud. Made it real. There was no going back now. When I got home, there were 17 missed calls from Emma, 23 texts, all variations of the same thing. Please, I'm sorry, don't do this. I blocked her number, then I called Patricia. I'm ready to file, I said. You're sure? Completely. Then let's do it. 2 days later, Fletcher showed up at my apartment. I was leaving for work when I found him sitting on the steps outside. He looked terrible, unshaven, dark circles under his eyes. We need to talk, he said. No, we don't. I lost my job. I stopped. What? The investigation. They fired me. Said I violated company policy. Created a hostile work environment. All because of that email. That's unfortunate. You did this. You sent that email. You did this to yourself. He stood up, swayed slightly. You ruined my life. I gave you Emma. You ruined your own life. She doesn't want me anymore. She wants you, and you don't even want her. That's not my problem. Everything's your problem, he was shouting now. You're the reason this all fell apart. If you just let her go. I did let her go. You had her, and you couldn't keep her. He lunged at me. I sidestepped. He stumbled, caught himself against the railing. Don't come here again, I said. Don't call, don't contact me, it's over. It's not over until I say it's over. Yes, it is. I walked past him, got in my car, drove away. In the rearview mirror, I saw him standing on the sidewalk, watching me leave. He looked small, defeated, broken. Good. That's what he deserved. That's what they both deserved. The divorce papers arrived at Emma's address on a Wednesday. I knew because her mother called me on Thursday. Michael. Diane's voice was ice. We need to talk. About what? About these divorce papers you served my daughter. Those are between Emma and me. She's devastated. Absolutely devastated. Do you have any idea what you're putting her through? Do you have any idea what she put me through? She made a mistake. She made dozens of mistakes for months, deliberately. Marriage is work, Michael. You don't just give up when things get hard. I didn't give up. She did. When she started sleeping with other men. Silence. Men? Diane said finally. Plural? You should ask your daughter about that. I'm asking you. And I'm telling you to ask Emma. It's her story to tell. This is outrageous. Gregory and I raised her better than this. Apparently not. How dare you? Mrs. Patterson, I'm done with this conversation. Tell Emma to sign the papers. It'll be easier for everyone. I hung up. 10 minutes later, Gregory called. You're making a mistake, he said without preamble. No, I'm correcting one. Emma tells me you're being vindictive, cruel. Emma tells a lot of things that aren't true. She's willing to do the work, to fix this. You're the one being stubborn. I'm being clear. There's a difference. You'll regret this. Maybe, but I'll regret staying more. She could take you for everything in the divorce? She won't. The separation agreement is fair, unless she wants me to start documenting everything for court. Are you threatening my daughter? I'm stating facts. Sign the papers, this stays quiet and civil. Fight it, and I'll make sure every detail becomes public record. He was quiet for a long moment. You're not the man I thought you were. Good. The man you thought I was doesn't exist anymore. I hung up. That weekend, Emma showed up at my apartment. Again. I'd changed the locks, but she waited outside. When I came home from the grocery store, she was sitting on the steps. We need to talk, she said. No, we don't. My parents called you. They did. What did you tell them? The truth. She stood up. You told them about the others? I told your mother to ask you, which she did, I assume. Emma's face was blotchy. She'd been crying. They're furious with me. My dad won't even speak to me. That's unfortunate. Unfortunate. Michael, they've cut me off. Financially, everything. I set down my groceries, looked at her. What do you want from me? I want you to tell them it's not as bad as it sounds. But it is that bad. You're enjoying this? No, I'm just not protecting you anymore. I need their support. I can't afford my rent without... Not my problem. How can you be so cold? I learned from the best. She flinched. I deserve that. You deserve worse. So give it to me. Yell, scream, do something other than this. This nothing. I don't need to do anything. You're destroying yourself just fine. She sank back down onto the steps. I have nothing left. No job security, no parents' support, no relationship. You've taken everything. I've taken nothing. You threw it all away. Because I made mistakes. Stop calling them mistakes. Mistakes are accidental. You made choices. She looked up at me. Did you ever love me? Really love me? Yes. And now? Now I don't feel anything. Liar. You feel something. I can see it. What do you see? Satisfaction. You're satisfied that I'm suffering. I thought about that. Maybe, a little. Is that wrong? It's human. Then I'm human. Congratulations. You finally see me as a person instead of furniture. I never meant... Yes, you did. You meant every word, every dismissal, every little cruelty. You meant all of it. She started crying again. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I know. Then why won't you forgive me? Because forgiveness doesn't mean reconciliation. I can forgive you and still not want you in my life. Do you? Forgive me? I considered the question honestly. I'm working on it. For me, not for you. What does that mean? It means I'm not carrying this anger forever, but I'm also not letting you back in. So that's it. We're done. We've been done for a long time. I'm just making it official. She wiped her eyes. The papers, they're fair. My lawyer said so. Then sign them. And if I do, what happens to us? There is no us. That's the point. We could be friends. I laughed. No. Why not? Because I don't like you. The words hit her visibly. You don't mean that. I do. I don't like who you are, who you've been, who you probably always were under the surface. That's cruel. It's honest. You wanted honesty. There it is. She stood up slowly. I'll sign the papers. Good. But I want you to know something. What? I did love you. Maybe not well, maybe not enough, but I did. Okay? That's all you have to say? What else is there? She shook her head, walked away. I watched her go, felt nothing, no victory, no relief, just nothing. That evening, I met Patricia to go over the final details. She's going to sign, I said. You're sure? Yes. Good. Then we're almost done. 6 months from filing, assuming she doesn't contest anything, and you're free. Free, I repeated. The word felt strange. How are you doing? Patricia asked, emotionally. Fine. That's not an emotion. I'm neutral. Is that an emotion? It's a start. I went home, sat in my small apartment, looked around at the life I'd built from the ashes. It wasn't much, but it was mine. No lies, no betrayals, no invisible man, just me. And that was enough. For now. Fletcher didn't disappear like I'd hoped. 2 weeks after Emma agreed to sign the papers, he started showing up places. My gym, the coffee shop near my apartment, outside my work, never approaching, just watching. I ignored it at first, figured he'd get bored and move on. But then the messages started, anonymous emails to my work address. Nothing threatening, just weird. Quotes about revenge, links to articles about betrayal, pictures of Emma and me from her social media. I blocked the address. He created another one. I mentioned it to Patricia. Document everything, she said. Save the emails, note when you see him. If it escalates, we can get a restraining order. I don't think he's dangerous. Angry men are always dangerous, even the ones who don't seem like it. I took her advice, started a file. 3 days later, someone slashed my tires. All 4 of them. Clean cuts, deliberate. The building had security cameras, but they didn't catch anyone. Whoever did it knew where the blind spots were. I knew it was Fletcher. Couldn't prove it, but I knew. I replaced the tires, increased my insurance, started parking on different streets. The following week, someone filed a false report with my company, claimed I'd been embezzling. Anonymous tip. HR investigated. Found nothing because there was nothing to find. But it was disruptive, embarrassing. My boss called me in. What's going on, Michael? He asked. Someone's harassing me. My soon-to-be ex-wife's former boyfriend. This is serious. I know. I'm handling it. Handle it faster. I can't have this kind of drama affecting the business. Understood. That night, I called Rachel Simmons. I need information on Fletcher, I said. Where he's living now, what he's doing. Why? Because he's escalating, and I need to know how worried I should be. She was quiet for a moment. He's staying with his brother in Queens. Lost his apartment when he lost his job. Last I heard, he was applying for unemployment. Anything else? He's been posting a lot on social media, vague stuff about justice and karma. It's concerning. Send me screenshots if you can. Okay, but Michael? Be careful. He's not stable. That weekend, I did something I probably shouldn't have. I drove to Fletcher's brother's place, parked down the block, waited. Around 2 p.m., Fletcher emerged. He looked worse than the last time I'd seen him. Thinner, more disheveled. He got into a car, borrowed probably, and drove toward Manhattan. I followed. He went to Emma's apartment building, parked outside, sat there. 20 minutes later, Emma came out. She didn't see him, walked to the subway. Fletcher followed her on foot. I followed both of them. This was stupid, dangerous, but I needed to see what he was doing. Emma went into a coffee shop. Fletcher waited outside, watching through the window. She was meeting someone, a woman I didn't recognize. They talked, drank coffee, laughed. Fletcher watched the whole time. When Emma left, he didn't follow her, just watched her go, then returned to his car. I followed him back to Queens, watched him go inside his brother's place, then I drove home and called the police non-emergency line. I want to report stalking behavior, I said. I gave them Fletcher's information, described what I'd seen. They said they'd send an officer to talk to him. Will that help? I asked. Sometimes. It depends on the individual. But it's on record now. If it escalates, we have documentation. That night, Fletcher called me. First time in weeks. I answered. You called the cops on me, he said. Voice flat. You've been following Emma. I wanted to see if she was okay. That's called stalking. I'm not stalking her. I care about her. She doesn't want your care. Leave her alone. You ruined my life. You know that? Everything was fine until you pursued a married woman. She wanted me, and then she didn't. That's how it works. You turned her against me, poisoned her. No, she figured out what you are all on her own. He was breathing hard. This isn't over. Yes, it is. The cops talk to you. If you keep this up, I'll get a restraining order. If you violate that, you'll go to prison. Is that what you want? Silence. Leave Emma alone. Leave me alone. Move on with your life. I can't. Why not? Because I have nothing left to move on to. He hung up. I sat there feeling something I hadn't expected. Pity. Fletcher was pathetic. Broken. Everything he'd built his identity on, his job, his confidence, his conquest of Emma, all of it was gone. And part of me had made that happen. I should have felt good about it. I didn't, but I also didn't regret it. The next morning, I got a call from Emma. Fletcher showed up at my apartment last night, she said. She sounded scared. Did you call the police? Yes, they came, talked to him. He left. Good. Michael, I'm scared. He's not okay. That's not my problem. It is if he does something crazy. Then get a restraining order. I already reported his behavior. Can you help me with this? I almost laughed. You want my help? Please. I know I don't deserve it, but I don't know what else to do. I thought about it, weighed my options. Fine, I said. I'll help you file the order. But after that, we're done. Completely done. Thank you. We met at the courthouse the next day, filed the paperwork together. It felt surreal, standing next to her, united in this one thing after everything that had happened. The order was granted. Fletcher was to stay 500 feet away from Emma at all times. Will he follow it? Emma asked. Probably not, but now there are consequences if he doesn't. We walked out of the courthouse together. Thank you, she said, for this. You're welcome. Michael? Yeah? I really am sorry for everything. I know. Do you think someday we could... No, she nodded. Okay. She walked away. I watched her go and felt that same nothing I'd been feeling for weeks. That night, Fletcher violated the restraining order. He showed up at Emma's building at midnight, started banging on the door, screaming her name. A neighbor called the police. They arrested him. Emma called me at 1 a.m., crying. They took him away, she said. Good. He was screaming about how we destroyed him, how we ruined everything. He ruined himself. I feel awful. Don't. He made his choices. Now he's living with them. Like I am. Like we all are. She was quiet for a moment. Do you hate me? No. Do you hate him? No. What do you feel? Tired. I feel tired. Me too. We stayed on the phone in silence for a while. Then she said, "Goodbye, Michael. Goodbye, Emma." She hung up. I sat in the dark of my apartment and realized it was over. Not just the marriage, the whole thing. The anger, the revenge, the need to make them pay. They'd paid. They were both destroyed in their own ways. And I was free. Finally, completely free. Fletcher spent 2 nights in jail before his brother bailed him out. The restraining order violation was on his record now, along with the harassment complaints, the angry messages, the stalking. He was building himself a very specific kind of prison. I heard about it through Rachel, who heard it through mutual connections. He's moving to Boston, she told me. His brother's getting him a job there. Construction work, starting over. Good for him. You don't sound like you mean that. I don't not mean it. I just don't care anymore. Fair enough. After we hung up, I thought about Fletcher driving away to Boston, leaving behind the wreckage of his life in New York, starting over with nothing. That was punishment enough. The divorce was finalized on a Thursday in March. I sat in Patricia's office while she went over the final papers. Everything was exactly as we'd agreed. Clean split, no alimony, no drama. "How do you feel?" she asked. "Free." "That's good. Is it normal to feel this flat about it?" "Everyone feels different, but yes, it's normal. You've been processing this for months. By the time the papers are signed, a lot of people are just ready to move on. That's where I am. Then move on. Live your life. Be happy." I left her office with the signed documents in a folder. Drove home through the city. The weather was getting warmer, spring coming. I thought about Emma. Wondered where she was, what she was doing, if she'd signed her copy yet. Realized I didn't actually care. That night, I got a text from an unknown number. "This is Emma, using a friend's phone since you blocked me. I signed the papers. They're filed. We're done." I stared at the message, then typed, "Okay." She responded immediately. "That's all you have to say?" Me. "What else is there?" Her. "I don't know. Something, anything." Me. "Goodbye, Emma. I hope you find what you're looking for." Her. "Did you find what you were looking for?" I thought about that question, really thought about it. What had I been looking for? Revenge? Justice? Satisfaction? I'd gotten all of those things, in their own ways, but what I'd really found was simpler. Me. I found myself. That's enough. She didn't respond. I blocked the number and deleted the conversation. Saturday afternoon, I met Garrett for lunch. We hadn't seen each other in weeks. "You look different," he said. "How so?" "Lighter, like you're not carrying something heavy anymore." "I'm not." "Divorce is final?" "As of Thursday." "How does it feel?" "Like closing a book I should have finished a long time ago." We ordered food, talked about normal things, his job, his girlfriend, a trip they were planning to Costa Rica. It felt good. Normal. Halfway through lunch, he asked, "What are you going to do now?" "What do you mean?" "With your life. You're single, free. What's next?" "I don't know. Work. Maybe travel. Figure things out. You should date." "Eventually." "Not eventually. Soon. Get back out there." "I'm not ready." "You will be. And when you are, you'll be a hell of a catch. You've got your life together. You know what you want. That's rare." "You're just saying that to make me feel better." "I'm saying it because it's true." After lunch, I walked through Central Park. The city was coming alive after winter. People everywhere. Couples holding hands, families with kids, dogs chasing balls. I sat on a bench and watched it all. For the first time in a year, I felt present. Not invisible, not erased. Just there. Solid. Real. Whole. My phone buzzed. Work email. A client with a question. I handled it in 3 minutes. Got back to watching the park. A woman sat down on the other end of my bench. Young, maybe early 30s. She was eating ice cream despite the March chill. "Beautiful day," she said. "It is," I agreed. "First real spring day of the year." "Feels like it." We sat in comfortable silence for a moment. Then she stood up. "Well, enjoy the weather." "You too." She walked away. I watched her go, and something shifted inside me. Not attraction, exactly, just possibility. The realization that my life wasn't over. It was just different now. That night, I cleaned out the last boxes from the marriage. Old cards Emma had given me, photos I'd been keeping, wedding gifts we'd divided. I threw most of it away. Kept a few things, memories worth preserving, not because they were good, but because they were part of my story. Then I ordered pizza, watched a movie, went to bed early. The next morning I woke up to sunlight streaming through the window, made coffee, sat on my small balcony, watched the city wake up. My phone buzzed. Diane Patterson calling. I stared at the screen, debating, then answered. Mrs. Patterson. Michael. Her voice was different, softer. I hope I'm not disturbing you. You're not. I wanted to apologize for how Gregory and I treated you, during the marriage and after. Okay. We were unfair. We judged you harshly, and we enabled Emma's behavior by making excuses for her. She's your daughter. You were protecting her. We were protecting the version of her we wanted to believe in, not the person she actually was. I didn't know what to say to that. Anyway, Diane continued, I wanted you to know that we know the truth now, all of it, and we're sorry. Thank you. Will you be all right? Financially, I mean. The divorce settlement was fair, but I'll be fine. Good. You deserve to be fine. You deserve to be happy. So does Emma. Yes, but she has a lot of work to do first. After we hung up, I sat with that conversation. Diane apologizing, taking responsibility, seeing me as a person instead of a disappointment. It didn't change anything, but it felt like a closing of some kind of loop. Monday morning, I went to work. Had a normal day, solved problems, made decisions, went home. Tuesday, I went to the gym. Wednesday, I had dinner with Rick. Thursday, I started looking at new apartments, something bigger, something that felt like a fresh start. Friday night, I was walking home from the grocery store when I saw her. Emma. She was standing outside a restaurant with a group of people, laughing, looking lighter than I'd seen her in months. Our eyes met across the street. She raised her hand. A small wave. I nodded. Kept walking. Didn't look back. 3 blocks later, I realized I was smiling. Not because I was happy she was doing well. Not because I was bitter she'd moved on. Just because that moment, seeing her and feeling absolutely nothing, meant I was finally completely free. Saturday morning, I signed a lease on a new apartment. Bigger place, better neighborhood, room to grow. Spent the afternoon packing. Rick helped me move the next weekend. New chapter, he said, carrying a box up the stairs. Yeah. You ready for it? I think so. The new apartment had good light, hardwood floors, a view of the street where people actually walked their dogs and said good morning. I set up my furniture, hung pictures, made it mine. That night I stood at the window and looked out at the city. Somewhere out there, Emma was living her life. Fletcher was starting over in Boston. Diane and Gregory were dealing with their daughter's choices, and I was here, present, whole, free. So I'd wanted revenge. I'd gotten it. But the real victory wasn't their suffering. It wasn't watching them fall apart. It was this, standing in my own space, living my own life, being myself without apology or invisibility. I pulled out my phone, opened my contacts, scrolled to Emma's blocked number, hovered over the unblock button, then closed the app. Some doors don't need to be reopened. I made dinner, poured a glass of wine, sat on my new couch in my new apartment and ate in peace. Outside, the city hummed with life. Inside, I was finally completely quiet. Not the quiet of erasure, the quiet of contentment. I'd been invisible for so long, been furniture, been stuck. Now I was free. And that was enough. More than enough. It was everything. 2 months later, I was leaving work when I saw Fletcher. He was standing across the street watching my building. I stopped. Our eyes met. He looked different, thinner, older, defeated. I waited for him to approach, to say something, to make a move. He didn't. He just turned and walked away. I watched him disappear into the crowd, felt nothing, went home. That night, I deleted every photo of Emma from my phone, every text I'd saved, every reminder, cleared it all out, started fresh. The next morning, I woke up and didn't think about her. Didn't think about Fletcher, didn't think about any of it, just got up, made coffee, went to work, lived my life. And somewhere between then and now, I realized something. Revenge isn't about destroying the people who hurt you. It's about building a life so good they become irrelevant. That's what I did, and it worked.